That breaking news, Arizona Congressman Raúl Grijalvla has died at the age of 77 from complications of cancer. Political editor Dennis Welch is here in studio with us. Dennis, tell us a little bit about his legacy, 20 years.
Yeah, it's over 20 years that he had served in Congress. I mean, first of all, very sad day. I think Arizona politics, and particularly his family out there, very sad day for Grijalva and the folks out there. When you start talking about someone like Raúl Grijalvla, Congressman Grijalva, he was the dean of the Arizona congressional delegation. Nobody had served there longer than he has at this point. And throughout the years, he was always known as somebody who was working very hard all the time. I knew some of his staffers pretty well, and they would tell me that they did a lot of work for him. Overall, though, I think when you start talking about what was he known for, he's known as somebody who went to on water issues for years, and water has become increasingly more and more important as this drought in the Southwest has continued. But like, he's someone that you went to with that. He was extremely important in protecting federal lands and lands up north around the Grand Canyon, and protecting that from uranium mining up around the canyon and things like that. But what you're going to hear a lot about in the next couple of days, as a lot of the memories are being shared and legacies is being handed out about Mr. Grijalva, is his impact on the local communities down there, particularly when it comes to Hispanic men and women, and how he inspired many of them to get into public service, and many of them are now elected members in the city councils in southern Arizona, and other places throughout the state, and they're in politics, either elected or working as staffers and things like that. So it's a big legacy, and it's a big loss for Arizona.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. And he came up through the community in Tucson, working with the school district there, with the kids, with the county board of supervisors there before becoming a lawmaker itself. What would he say his wins were?
I think when you started looking at that, I think he would say, again, getting back to the Grand Canyon, protecting that area from uranium mining. That was a very big issue several years ago. There were always some people looking to start mining around that area. I know a lot of folks who are very concerned about that. Like, why would you be mining so close to such a national treasure that's in our state called the Grand Canyon? I think he would say that that is a pretty big win. But I'd also say that he would look at some of the people he inspired to get into politics and say that's a pretty big win as well. And you're going to see a lot of condolences coming out. I just spoke with Senator Greg Stanton, and he talked a lot about what a fighter he was now, and he was always willing to speak truth to power and to stand up to people. Even his own party, he would stand up to them. And an example of that was just a few hours before it was announced it was passed. His Twitter account, I'm assuming it's probably somebody on his staff, had put out a considerably long a message on X, taking on the current administration in the White House for some of the decisions they made with the Department of Education and some of the firings there. So all the way really to the end, his office was really fighting, standing up, speaking truth to power, at least as they saw it.
Servant to the community, and was famously said, it's for the babies, it's for the next generation ahead. What happens next with his seat?
Well, what's going to happen next is you're going to see, by statute, you're going to see the governor is going to announce within the next, I believe, 72 hours, and that's in statute, is going to have to announce a primary and general election within a certain amount of days. It's going to have enough days for potential candidates to gather signatures to qualify for the ballot and whatnot. It's important to know that unlike the Senate, you can't appoint somebody to the House of Representatives. Somebody cannot serve as an appointment there. They have to be elected. So that seat is going to be vacant for a little while, depending on how quickly they can get this stuff together and get an election out there and going. And again, the district that Mr. Grijalva represents currently is a very blue district, and the primary is going to be the important election in that race. We don't know who's going to be running yet. Obviously, it's still it's very early for that at this point, so people are going to be focusing on Mr. Grijalva and his life right now, but you'll start seeing some more stuff come out about people interested in taking that seat in the coming days after the governor calls the election.
Longtime Democrat, so how does that impact the balance of power?
Well, the balance of power, the Republicans, the balance of power in the delegation here was in the minority. There are more Republican congressmen from Arizona than Democrats. Obviously that puts them down one. And in the House, obviously the Republicans hold a narrow advantage in the House there, so it doesn't affect the balance of power in the nation's capital at this point.
Dennis, thank you. And our condolences go out to his family and his friends and everyone who loved him.